Hi everyone, it's Steph here and this is the Novelty Corner. Welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, welcome. This is a books beside my bed video which I film every week and I wrap up the last 7 days worth of reading. It's a series I really like doing because it allows me to reflect and talk about the books that I have read over the last week. So this is my reading week from the 14th until the 20th of March. I am filming this on the autumn equinox. It is the 21st of March. True to form, this is our first really rainy day, so if the lighting is a little bit off, it hasn't been this dark in a while here. So I am really enjoying the weather and I've had a really delightful day. I'm actually filming this later than I normally would, but I'm really excited to talk about these books with you. So in the last 7 days, I read a total of 7 books. I'm going to be talking about 3 of them in depth in this video, and I'm going to mention the 4 books that have been part of 2 reading vlogs, one before the week started and one at the tail end of the week. If you've been following along on my channel for the last couple of weeks, I have been doing weekend reading vlogs. I probably will not do one for the next or the upcoming weekend. I do have this weekend's reading vlog already in process and I'm looking forward to sharing that this week, but I might take a weekend off and then come back into it and get everyone's input into what sort of theme you would like to see. I read a total of 2,178 pages in the last 7 days and my yearly reading total is 102 books. So some of the books that I have read this week that are part of reading vlogs include The Virgin Hunt Games by Mel Teshko, which is the 3rd book in this series. It is a science fiction romance series, I suppose. I had a NetGalley arc for it. I gave this one about a 3 out of 5 stars, and that was part of last weekend's reading vlog. And the 3 books that are part of the current weekend reading vlog include Second First Impressions by Sally Thorne, which is her new contemporary romance story. I believe it comes out this week maybe, and I gave that one 4 out of 5 stars. I also read Fugitive Telemetry by Martha Wells, which is book 6 in the Murderbot Diaries series and is one of my favourite science fiction novella/novel series currently that's ongoing, and I absolutely adored it. I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. It was really fun. And I also read A Touch of Ruin by Scarlett Sinclair, which is book 2 in her Hades and Persephone retelling series. And this is more paranormal romance. There is magic involved in it, but there's also Earth, the real world, and it's got God's walk among us sort of themes running through it, and I gave that 4 out of 5 stars. So those last 3 you will hear more about probably around Wednesday when I release that vlog, and hopefully there'll be another book or 2 in there as well. In terms of what I read this week that wasn't part of a vlog, I was mostly reading off my Kindle. So the first book that I read was Kiss of a Demon King by Kresley Cole, which is Immortals After Dark book number 6. I ended up giving this one 4 out of 5 stars, and I enjoyed it, but I think I have come to the conclusion that I am going to put down the Immortals After Dark series for now, because I'm not getting the same sort of joy out of reading it as I am some of the other books. It's becoming a bit of not so much a chore, but just something I'm putting pressure on myself to do, and I'm not gravitating towards the books, which is not to say it's not a good series. I know it is very well loved and I wish I could love it the same way, but at the moment it's just not there for me. So I think this is going to be my last Immortals After Dark book for a little while. It is the story of a Rydstrom who is a demon king who currently doesn't have his kingdom. It was stolen from him, and so he has spent a very long time trying to get his kingdom back. And at the beginning of this book, he is kidnapped by Sabine, who is the half-sister of the man who stole Rydstrom's throne. Sabine knows that Rydstrom is her fated mate, and so she has kidnapped him and chained him to a bed and is trying to get him to commit to her in order to fulfill a prophecy of sorts. It doesn't go particularly well. I really liked Sabine's character. I thought she was really fiery. She stood up for herself. She is really determined to make her fate her own. She doesn't necessarily agree with her half-brother, but she also knows that he is a stepping stone for her to get power, and it's the same with Rydstrom. He is another stepping stone for her. I also really liked Rydstrom as a character. I thought he was a great hero. They both played off each other really well. They're both very alpha characters. There was a lot of really great banter, but I think it's the overall world building. I'm just not invested in the Immortals After Dark series, and I actually don't know what it is. So I think I'm putting it to the side for now. I may continue it later in the year. I may continue it next year. I don't know. But for now, I'm going to put it aside, because if there were any books that were going to get me deeply, deeply invested in the series, it would be the demon books. I enjoyed them, but they don't necessarily make me want to continue reading, if that makes sense. The next book I read was actually a novella, and it was a Patreon early release of Katie Roberts' next book in her Touch of Taboo series. So this was Seducing My Guardian. This is the story of Hazel, who is about to turn 25 or 26, I think, in the story, and she's about to inherit her parents' legacy. So she was orphaned when she was a teenager, and Devon was assigned as her guardian, and she's never quite known why he was assigned as her guardian, but he essentially shipped her off to boarding school and he took care of everything financially, and he spent a lot of time over the years pulling her out of trouble, usually on her birthday. And on the eve of this particular birthday, she is trying to tempt him into a relationship because she's very fascinated by him and has an attraction to him, and she thinks it's mutual. She wants to be free of him, essentially, and so she wants to tempt him into this one night of all these missed opportunities where they could have been in a relationship. All of it is from a time when she would have been old enough to consent anyway. So her plan is to recreate the last few birthdays where he has saved her from a situation and turn it into their romance, I think. I don't think I'm doing a really good job of explaining it. It is a taboo book because it is a guardian and a ward romance, but everyone is over the age of consent. And for the majority of the book, it's actually after Hazel is no longer his ward. So I enjoyed it. It was fun. It was very steamy. It's very much in line with the other books in the series. I don't know if I would consider it the best one in the series, but it was definitely a fun, entertaining read. And then finally, I also read another arc of Katie Roberts' Neon Gods, which is the first book in the Dark Olympus series that she is releasing in June. I actually got this e-arc from NetGalley and I was so excited to read it. I cannot tell you guys how excited I was to have this arc. The first book in the Dark Olympus series is a Hades and Persephone retelling. It is not a magic one though. It's very much set in the same world as The Wicked Villains and Sabine Valley, and you do get mentions of characters that have been in both of those series, but you don't have to have read them to read the Dark Olympus series, if that makes sense. In the Dark Olympus series, you have the 13, who are representations of the Greek gods. It's not a gods walk among us trope. It is very much, these are very powerful, influential people who take on the title of these former Olympic gods, and they rule Olympus as business people and people who are in charge. And obviously Zeus sits at the head of that. Persephone's mother essentially climbed her way into the title of Demeter and dragged Persephone and her three sisters with her regardless of what they thought about it. So suddenly the four girls have been thrust into the spotlight and have been for years, and Persephone is dreaming of the day when she can escape all of that. And she's so close, it's nearly her birthday, she's about to inherit some money and she's planning on leaving Olympus forever. And then her mother announces Persephone's engagement to Zeus. And Zeus, as a figurehead in this world, is seen as very ruthless. He goes through wives and everyone suspects that he's actually killed his previous 3 wives. So Persephone is not at all happy with this situation. She's very resentful of her mother and she tries to escape and she runs through Olympus. She's pursued and then she finds herself crossing the river into the lower city, which was previously the domain of Hades. And the Hades from the 13 is thought to have been a myth. They think that he's dead, the bloodline has died out, and yet when she crosses the river, she meets the man who has taken on the title of Hades. And he protects her, takes her in, and risks war to stop her from having to marry Zeus. I really enjoyed this take, mostly because there was no magic involved in it. I think it's really fascinating when you do a Hades and Persephone retelling when there is no magic. Hades is very much an alpha character, but he's also a bit of a cinnamon roll. He's very sweet and he cares a lot about the people around him. Persephone is very strong. She starts off very much thinking about herself and where she is and why she is trying to get out of this situation. And while I wouldn't say she's self-centered, she definitely thinks about herself first initially, and then she begins to see how her actions impact on others and to make those decisions about, you know, when do you put yourself first and when do you put others first? And I think it happens in a really natural, very interesting way. And there are plenty of really great scenes in this book, including when Hades takes Persephone on a tour of the lower city, and the whole thing just gave me very cozy vibes and I really enjoyed it. So I ended up giving that one 5 out of 5 stars, possibly because of nostalgia and anticipation, and I really love the way that I can just sink into a Katie Roberts story and not have to worry too much about doing heaps of heavy lifting in terms of thinking about it. It's very easy to understand, it's got a great pace and really interesting characters. And also I just love a Hades and Persephone retelling. So those are the 3 books that I have read in the last week that you won't hear about in a reading vlog. I really enjoyed my reading week. I thought it was fun. I did take some time off during the week and I wasn't reading as much because I just needed a break. But overall, I thoroughly enjoyed what I've read. So I was very excited to share that with you. In the comments below, let me know what you have been reading over the last 7 days, or if you'd like to talk about the books that I have been reading. I would love to chat to you about them down below. Otherwise, I hope that wherever you are in the world, you're staying safe and healthy, and I'll see you in my next video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye everyone.